Hi, my name is Jill White-Huffman. I'm a licensed professional counselor as well as a marriage family therapist, and I'm located in Greensboro, North Carolina. I do invite you to go over and visit my Facebook page and look at my website. I tend to try to put out topics that hopefully are of interest to individuals. So hopefully there's something that's of interest to you. If not you and you're reading through it, you may notice that a family member or friend may benefit from some of the topics that I write. So again, I do invite you to go over and visit. Now today, what I'm going to share with you is anxiety. We're going to talk a little bit about anxiety. And just to let you know that we all experience anxiety from time to time. So it is normal. It's sort of that fight-flight mode and what's going on in our daily events or situations or circumstances that may cause us to feel some sense of anxiety. And sometimes it's a great motivator. You know, sometimes if you've got a test and you're, really procrastinating on it, or you may have a big project at work or just something you've got to get done. So a little bit of anxiety may be good because it may be a motivator for you. Now, when anxiety is bad is when it becomes very disruptive and very distressful, and it interferes with our life on a day-to-day basis. So we're not able to accomplish and do things that we need to do to fulfill our life, the things that we want to accomplish to feel whole in our lives. Now, there are different types of anxiety. You know, some people will experience panic anxiety. So it's what we would term as panic disorders. With these individuals, they seem to become very overwhelmed. And sometimes it just kind of pops up. So, and when I speak with these individuals, they'll say, you know, I feel like I'm going crazy. I've had people come in to me and they'll say it. Sometimes it's when I'm like in a crowded space. Sometimes when I'm in an unfamiliar space. So it could be almost any particular situation. But again, it tends to come on rapidly and suddenly. And a lot of times what is a huge indicator of panic disorders is when, you know, you start getting it's almost like your heart is racing. You know, some people will say it almost feels like I'm having a heart attack. Of course, social anxiety disorder is a form of anxiety. With these individuals, what they'll say is that I have a hard time in social settings. Because when I'm in social settings, I'm always wondering what people are thinking about me, how people feel about me. I wonder if I'm going to say the right thing the right way. I wonder how my appearance looks. Will people judge me if I'm not dressed appropriately, or because of that particular social setting that I'm in, I may feel very inadequate and incompetent as a person, and then not fit in because I may not be able to have or those conversational pieces that they may be interjecting with each other. So with social anxiety, people are very consumed and they do a lot of worrying about what people are thinking and feeling about them. And so, of course, they're going to feel embarrassed and a lot of times shameful in these social settings. Now, with specific phobias, which is a form of anxiety, this is when people feel an intense fear. And so it could be like maybe heights. They may be fearful of heights, of objects. So it's typically something specific that they're feeling some kind of fear from. So a lot of times people will say, if I get up on a hill, I become very fearful and feel like I'm going to fall down. Or it could be other things that they've experienced in the past that has caused some fear. And if they go back into that environment, they, of course, start having some of the symptoms of anxiety because of that specific object or circumstance or situation. Of course, there's generalized anxiety. When people experience a generalized disorder, What this is it's very excessive, and it's typically unrealistic worry. So they'll tend to just worry excessively over the smallest things. Their bodies a lot of time become very, very intense. So they'll experience a lot of tension in their body. And a lot of times when there's generalized anxiety going on, sometimes what they're so worried about is just typically sometimes unrealistic. So they may go into a lot of that irrational thinking process. And it's hard for them to think rational about a particular situation. But in most cases, sometimes there's not a lot of facts to validate why their worry should be occurring at that intense level. Now, what are some of the symptoms? I know a lot of times people will say, well, how do I know if I'm experiencing anxiety? Of course, we know, again, if it is something that is an issue and certainly needs to be attended to, then, just notice, is it disrupting your daily activities, your daily life, and it's causing you not just a small bit of joy for days and days and sometimes weeks at a time, then that's certainly one indicator. But some of the things that you'll experience and feel, of course, is the panic, those heart palpitations. Sometimes you'll have problems sleeping at night. You may like experience a lot of coldness or sweaty. So you'll go from cold to hot, maybe in your the palms of your hands or in your feet. Of course, shortness of breath. So sometimes it's really hard to like kind of calm down and just kind of be in the moment. So you're breathing kind of really shallow. You're not breathing, to your full potential. Sometimes people will experience a dry mouth. They may also feel some numbness or tingling in their hands or in their feet. Some people become very nauseated when they're experiencing anxiety. And again, muscle tension is a huge indicator sometimes that there's some anxiety going on. And then dizziness. Some people will just, get really dizzy. So those are some of the symptoms that may trigger or be strong indicators that you may be experiencing an anxiety disorder. And some of you may wonder, what are some of the causes of anxiety disorder? Of course, some researchers have indicated that they really don't know. It's totally unknown as to why some people experience an excessive amount of anxiety. And then they also would like to interject that, it's not definitely a result of someone having a character flaw or maybe a personality weakness or personal weaknesses. And then, it may not even be due to your upbringing, but just what they're finding is that sometimes because of some of the developmental changes that occur in our bodies, within our minds, within our whole system, we can, things change, and so even our brains change, and so that could, be causing some of the imbalances or the transitions that are going on within our bodies and brains and everything that is associated with us may be as a result of anxiety. So it's just really important to understand that you're not a weak person and you're not abnormal, or that, there's nothing wrong with you if you're experiencing anxiety at a high intensity. It may be just that you may need to get some support and help. Now, there are also indicators that sort of lead to external causes that may trigger anxiety disorder. And so some of those external indicators would certainly revolve around stress. A lot of times we're experiencing an abundant amount of stress now, just with the daily demands that are put on people these days. So it could be in your workplace, it could be in your home life, in your personal life. So And so some of these stressors, of course, would be, like I said, work, it could be school, it could be your relationships, it could be financial stress, emotional trauma, such as a death or loss of a loved one, and then some serious mental illnesses, or if you're having some medical problems, of course, that would certainly increase your stress level. Some of the side effects, of course, from medication, and then if you're doing a lot of drugs or drinking a lot. So those are some of the external external factors that may result in you having a high level of anxiety. Regardless of the anxiety, if you feel like it's disrupting your day-to-day task, activities, events, it's been going on for a while, then I would encourage you to seek some help. And so this is how we can be helpful as counselors. And of course, you certainly want to talk to your medical professional about that and see if there may be some medication that they may want to give you to help reduce your anxiety level. My name is Jill White-Huffman. I'm a licensed professional counselor, a marriage and family therapist, and I'm also a licensed massage and bodywork therapist. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to work with lots and lots of individuals. In my private practice as a massage therapist, I've worked with just so many different chronic issues. I've worked with people that are just enduring a lot of stress. I tend to use a lot of different modalities. People will ask, Jill, what do you most specialize in? Of course, you'll be able to visit my website if you have an opportunity, and it'll tell you some of the things that I work mostly with, the modalities that I work and techniques that I work most with. But I will say, I don't call myself one particular therapist. I tend to try to work with the body, with the different needs and the different elements that you express, and those areas that I feel as I am working on the body that may need some help. So it just depends on what's going on, is the technique that I use. You know, as a licensed professional counselor, of course, you'll see that about 98% of the population that I work with are couples, but that does not negate that I do not work, that I will not work with individuals, because I do work with individuals. I work with individuals with just all types of issues. People come into me because, you know, they're making some life adjustment situations. They may be encountering some stress-related issues, adjustment, some grief and loss. I work a lot with depression, anxiety, and some of the PTSD as it relates to just some of the traumatic events that have happened in people's lives, or as it relates to, say, postpartum depression, or some of the infidelity issues that people have struggled or are working through. So again, I do encourage you to visit my website. I have a lot more information there where you can learn more about me. And also go over to my Facebook page. There's so many different topics that I write about, and hopefully there's some tips that I can share with you, some things that may be helpful to you with different issues. So as it relates to something physical, as it relates to something emotional, or it could be mental, emotional, or physical. So again, rush over, look at my Facebook page, and I hope you'll enjoy reading some of the topics. Now, I hope that, you know, the segment that I'm sharing today has certainly been helpful to you. If you've got any questions, do feel free to call me. The number, it's 336-855-1860. 336-855-1860. Thank you.